But God has an answer, and I'm going to share what I've discovered. Okay? Because the truth is, you can't hide. Okay, anyway. Even in North America, even in the Rockies, any jungles, you can't. Anyway, we'll deal with that. Just hold that question until we get there. If national ruin comes after national apostasy, and national apostasy is a national Sunday law, Lord, excuse me, I'm not seeing it. Where is this national Sunday law supposed to come out? Because national ruin is certain. You know, the astronomers were watching Uranus, watching the other planets, and they said, something is strange about those planets. They're acting like if there is another planet there. There's some kind of body pulling it off. It makes perfect sense. There has to be another planet out there. We can't see it, but just by watching them, you can tell the gravity is affecting it. So they started watching and they made predictions, and wouldn't you know, they came up exactly and predicted the presence and exact position of Neptune. They never saw it. They just said, it has to be there because of all of the other signs. And when they pointed their telescopes there, lo and behold, there it was. It's similar to what's happening right now. Lord, all the indicators are there. National ruin is imminent. Everything is pointing. But there has to be a national apostasy. I'm sorry, even if I can't see it, it has to be there. So I started looking and looking, and within a few weeks, information started coming in. Beginning in December 15 and 16, 3 organizations began meeting together. The Christian Coalition, meeting with Christians and Catholics together, and the Catholic Campaign for America. All 3 of those were meeting together secretly. In fact, incredibly enough, God has somehow positioned a Seventh-day Adventist pastor. I may be wrong if he's a pastor, but I believe he's a pastor. A Seventh-day Adventist as the vice chairman of the Christian Coalition. Everybody knows he's a Seventh-day Adventist. But he's on the inside administrative group of these 3. So every single secret meeting has at least one Seventh-day Adventist. This is not a coincidence. They invited him. He said if God wants to he started going just out of curiosity. He said, I'm going to go to all the meetings. I want to keep my ears to the ground. I want to keep my fingers on the pulse of what is happening. And because he got known and he was always going to the meetings, one of these days that one of the vice chairman died, and the wife, the vice chairman, proposed this man to be the vice chairman. And they accepted him. And now he's on the inside secret group. He was there. And he gave his testimony. And I have the documentation of that testimony. First, there was only rumors going around. People saying, no, you can't depend on rumors. Others were saying, this is just one of those letters circulating. Others were saying, no, there's no evidence whatsoever. In fact, the General Conference Religious Liberty Department was unable to find any evidence of it. So they circulate something, and I have every reason to trust the Religious Liberty Department. I've never had any reason to distrust them. But they never publish things they cannot have evidence on. You see, I mean, you would expect that kind of responsibility from a General Conference. But on the other hand, Neptune is out there somewhere. You understand where we're coming from? Neptune has to be there because all the planets are reflecting that there is something that has to be there. And of course, if you read Great Controversy, you find out that this is all done in secrecy by stealth. So, kept watching. And then we heard the meeting, the proposed meeting. But no details. They couldn't find out what was happening. No details about what happened at the meeting. They suddenly changed the location from the Catholic Convention Center, Washington, D.C., to another hotel. The National Security Agency, which for the United States happens to be the organization that manages all of the most secret. Whereas the CIA is looking for intelligence out there, the National Security, NSA, is the one who manages all the information inside the country. The one that taps your phone. The one that listens to all the radio stations. The one that screens all the internet All your text messages, that's the National Security Agency. Everything you say, everything you do goes through a computer, and it is filtered for certain keywords and certain things, or if you're on a watch list, somebody reads it. This is the National Security Agency. They coordinated the arrival of each of the components of each of the members of this meeting. When our Adventist brother landed in Washington, D.C. with his airplane, they were waiting for him. They verified his identity. They took away his driver's license. They said, we will keep your driver's license until you actually finish the meetings. They put him on a taxi. They said, he will know where to take you. They took him to a hotel. He goes, this is not where I was supposed to go. This is where they told me to take you. So they took him to that place. They checked everything. They screened him for no recording devices. And these groups, all these religious leaders came in, and it said, by order of the Vatican, there can be no recording devices. So there's no doubt who's calling the shots. And then they made an official release. And who decided what was going to be released and when? The Vatican gave the clearance to it. So the steering committee for the Christian and Catholics together is run by the Catholics, even though they started it and they were the last to join, and they had to beg them to join, but they agreed to join on the condition that they are on the steering committee. So very astutely, they create the organization, then they wait to be invited as the last ones, and then they say, only if you give us a steering wheel. So they said, okay, so now the steering wheel is in the hand of the Catholic Church to be able to direct the agenda for this organization. Now, they have been working together since December on a secret meeting, 10 issues. And one of them, I think it's number 7, is specifically a day of worship to avoid the great disasters that are right before us. Al Gore was there, Vice President Al Gore. He, of course, is a specialist, a guru on the environment and on the destruction of the planet. And he could pretty well show everybody that this planet is auto-destroying itself. So if you've noticed recently, they have adopted, since December, we just had some clippings from the newspaper there in the Philippines, issued by the Catholic Church. You will find clippings in a paper and reports in your newspapers issued by the Catholic Church, in which they're encouraging all Catholics and people to deal with the preservation of the planet and the environment as if it were a sin, just like abortion, just like other of the sins, the preservation of the planet. You'll find, if you look for it, we found them right there in the newspaper being issued all the time. Everybody is being called to turning off lights at certain times and protecting the planet, and they've raised it to this level because they can pull in a lot more other people that are not even religious, not even Christian, but they care about the planet. And so if you can pull them on and say, this is to protect our planet, and it involves one day of worship. One day of worship to protect your planet. And or otherwise, great disasters. God's anger can be averted. So this was done, and then in other meetings since then, and we're within a couple of weeks. April 15. What happens on April 15? Income tax day, right? For all North Americans. Well, it happens to be my birthday. That's not what he does. That's not the event. April 16 evidently is the Pope's birthday. The Pope is coming on April 15. We'll be celebrating his birthday at the Catholic Convention Center on April 16. But he's meeting with Congress and the President on April 17. We're only a couple of weeks away from a meeting in which the Pope himself is going to appeal to Congress to pass laws to protect the planet and to stop desecrating the first day of the week. Now, we were looking for Neptune, right? We were looking for national apostasy to come before national ruin. It's right before our very eyes. Sister White said it has to be done with secrecy. And they're getting all the leaders. And she also says that it is the religious leaders that pressure the government. The government doesn't start the Sunday law. Religious leaders go to the government and say, we want this. And the government, seeking popular favor, will approve. Now, there's a Sunday law. There's national collapse. and followed by